So tell me what you know about Gregorius. Is he as good defensively as people make him out to be?
Absolutely. He's one of those guys that when you watch him every day, you are amazed at the plays he makes. Very, very smooth, a lot of range, and a great arm. It's just the offensive part. So if you can put him in a lineup where you're not counting on him being a guy that's going to have to deliver key hits here and there, kind of like Omar Vizquel at the beginning with the Indians when he played with that stacked Indians lineup. So all you wanted was out of Omar was bat ninth, make every play, and we don't care if you go 0 for 4, 0 for 3 every night. It doesn't matter. So if the Yankees are okay with that type of offense, then it's a great move for the Yankees because Mike, you remember when Mike Bordick replaced Cal Ripken at shortstop for the Orioles, and there was an uproar in Baltimore. How dare you? How could you? There's no way. Because Bordick had played in Oakland, and people really didn't know how good he was defensively. But when you watch Mike Bordick day in, day out, you realize this guy was one of the great fielding shortstops of that era. And Gregorius, now that he's going to be in New York, I think people are going to be astonished at how well he plays defensively, as long as they're okay with a 230, 240 batting average and not a lot of production on the offensive side.
Now, that was going to be my question. This is a guy that's only played 191 games in his career. He's still very young. He's 24 years old, going to be 25. So what is the upside potential? Is 250 basically it? Or is it somebody that could find a groove, find himself as he gets older to be a little bit better than that?
Oh, I think he absolutely can find a groove and be better than that. I think when you look at a guy like Omar Vizquel, remember he used to be a 220, 225 hitter. And toward the end of his career, he ended up being a solid 285 to 290 type batter who ended up with close to 3,000 hits. People don't realize. Now, I know part of that is longevity, but Omar Vizquel came very close to 3,000 hits. And Gregorius, the thing that really got people down on him here was when he first got called up by the Diamondbacks. They'd made the trade with the Reds. He came here. He played in the minors for about 6 or 8 weeks. He got called up. And over the course of his first 4 or 5 weeks with the Diamondbacks, he was hitting 340. And I think people got intoxicated, including some within the organization, saying, wow, he can hit too. We just didn't know it. But, of course, an average is an average. It's called an average for a reason. And over the course of the next 2.5, 3 months, it came back down. And then this past season, again, he wasn't an offensive player. But he has a very athletic body, and he's willing to learn. And I know I spoke to him late in the season, and the Diamondbacks had kind of been tinkering with his approach at the plate and with his stance. And they see the potential there. So I think if you get the right guy that can get in his head and kind of show him how good of a hitter he can be, I don't think that you'd be relegated to a 230 type hitter. I think he's absolutely capable of 275 with some gap power because he's kind of built like Alexi Ramirez of the White Sox. Kind of like a long, gangly, long limbs, thin, but that kind. And look at what Ramirez is.
So with Pedro Gomez, our good buddy from ESPN right here on the show. It's interesting because this guy was once held in such high regard that Kevin Towers, who's with the Diamondbacks back then, said this guy is the next Derek Jeter. Now, ironically enough, he takes over as the Yankee shortstop after Jeter. So he hasn't become that. Obviously, people have lowered their expectations a little. But I'm asking you this, Pedro. Is it because of something bad that he did? Is he not a good kid? Is he not a good worker? Why didn't he ever live up to being the next Derek Jeter?
Well, I don't know that anybody will ever be the next Derek Jeter. No matter who gets that tag, that's going to be really, really difficult to live up to. So I don't think that's the case. He is not a bad kid by any means.
Okay.
He grew up in Curacao.
Yeah.
And I like him personally. I've had conversations with him. I truly think he is a good kid. He wants to do well. And as we know, that is a big part of succeeding at the big league level is that desire, that want to do well, to impress people, to show them that the faith that they have in him will be paid off. So I think that will be good. I actually think he's going to do well in New York.
So you like this deal?
I do, because I always am a big believer that defense, I love defense. So you're getting, as long as you realize as a Yankee fan that this guy is not by any means going to be Derek Jeter offensively. If there's any people that out there that do think, oh, well, he's been called the next Jeter, so he's going to be that. Defensively, you're going to be amazed. Offensively, if you're thinking he's Derek Jeter, you're going to be severely disappointed.